Welcome to my repair kit. I'm Eric Jacobson. In this video, we'll be repairing this cherry table. I'm showing you the table from this perspective because looking in the glare is how you see most of the damage. There are quite a few surface scratches, gouges, and other finish-related damages. The first step is to clean the table well with denatured alcohol. This will remove a buildup of waxes, cleaning product residue, and other contaminants. For this table, because of the extensive amount of pre-existing damage, I started sanding with 400 grit sandpaper. I don't usually use sandpaper more coarse than 400 grit because it would leave deep sanding marks in the surface which will be difficult to get out. I'm going to speed this up a little bit for you. Now to remove even more damage and smooth out some of these sanding scratches that was left by the 400 grit sandpaper, I'm now sanding the table with 600 grit sandpaper. I'll speed this up for you again. I'd like to take a moment to mention that with all this sanding, I'm not going through the existing finish down to the bare wood. As you can see, the surface looks pretty smooth. I would say probably 80% of the damage is removed at this point. It also took about 45 minutes. This next step is a process called French polishing. The liquid I am using is called Lackover by Mohawk Finishes. At this moment, you are watching my arm move at regular speed. I'm not just simply rubbing back and forth. Each time I come to the end of my stroke, I am actually picking the pad up and then placing it back down on the surface. There's a lot of different factors that go into this, but I'm going to speed up the video and we'll talk about techniques. When I French polish a large surface, like this dining room table or a dresser, I usually work in halves, or thirds, or quarters. The main point is that I'm not trying to go over the whole surface initially. Another factor is going to be how much liquid is used each time I add more to the rag. In the beginning stage, I'm going to be using quite a bit more because it takes quite a bit to start filling in the sanding scratches. The last factor is how much pressure you push down on your rag on the surface. In this stage, I am using more pressure as I'm trying to push the finish into the surface scratches. You may often need to focus extra attention around the edges of the surface. The more you French polish an area, the more you should see any surface scratches or imperfections start to disappear. I normally have to take the leaves out because when they're in the table, it's difficult to reach all the way across. I'm going to speed this up a little bit more. Now you can see, after all that French polishing, there are still surface scratches caused by my sanding, with some touch-up that needs to be done. I mix various pigments with Lackover to create my own touch-up paint. For this table, I used burnt sienna, orange, and black, and touched up any gouges that were discolored. So if I said that initial sanding took out 80% of the damage, The initial French polishing probably took out another 10%. There are still scratches in the surface that I need to sand out even further for them to be removed. Now I need to focus my French polishing on those new sanding scratches I made so that I can bring those areas similar to the surrounding surface. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. And of course, I have to do the same thing for the leaf. Now that I've done that, it's time to start building up the finish. This is where we're going to start expanding our strokes and applying a lot more finish. You always want to try and keep your strokes as straight as possible going across a surface. At this point of your French polish, you should start to notice the surface scratches and any imperfections should start to be filled in by the lacquer. Again, you may have to pay extra attention around the edges. I'm going to speed this up for you. This part of the French polish, I'm going edge to edge or focusing on certain areas of difficulty. I'm also using less lacquer on my rag and using less downward pressure. Part of your learning process is going to be how much finish is needed, how much pressure is warranted during the different stages of the French polish. Just need to finish up the edge. After the top has dried for about 10 minutes, I'm just using a clean, dry cloth and wiping it across the surface to give a hand-rubbed effect. This repair is complete. In all, it took about 2 hours. You can find more information on this process in my book, My Repair Kit, Repair Furniture Like a Professional, a masterclass by Jacobson. All the supplies you need is also at myrepairkit.com. Thank you for watching.